How do you know if you've had a spiritual awakening? According to the wisdom of Kabbalah, in order to have a spiritual awakening, you don't necessarily need to meditate or go to some distant place in nature where you're all by yourself, or take a vow not to speak for some time, focus on your breathing maybe, or perform any kind of ritual at all. Spiritual awakening means the awakening of a unique desire within you. What you really need to ask yourself is, have I ever felt a deep, profound, relentless need to know what is the meaning and purpose of my life? And that can happen at any age. Doesn't matter in what scenery, doesn't matter where you are, who you are, where you're from, or what you're doing. Because that question is about the essence of our being. It's about why are we here? What is the purpose of human life? What is the big picture? Where are we? Who are we? What is the purpose of life itself? When we come to ask that question, that is an indication of a spiritual desire that has awakened within us. Kabbalists have a name for it. They call it, metaphorically, the point in the heart. What our heart wishes means what we want. So if your heart represents all of your desires, and as human beings, we have all kinds of desires. We have bodily desires, like desires for food and sex and family and shelter. And we have the more social desires, desires for honor and power and fame. We also have a desire for knowledge, a desire to better understand how reality works, how nature works. But when a person starts asking why, what is the purpose? What is the goal? Why am I alive? Is there a greater fulfillment beyond what we can feel and sense on our earthly level of experience? When a person starts asking that, then that person is tuned in to the spiritual desire that is unique to human beings. Okay, here's the thing. Every human being has that desire deep down. It's there. It may be asleep, but it's there. That's why we call it a spiritual awakening. It's an awakening of the desire to connect with the meaning and purpose of life. And so, because it exists in every human being, what's interesting is that if you take a look at what happens when you're 5 or 6 or 7 years old, typically around this age, children find themselves asking, what's going on? Mommy, why are we here? Daddy, why do we live? Why are we alive? When we ask that question as children, we don't typically get an answer. Definitely not a satisfactory answer, right? It's typically, when you'll grow, you'll understand, mommy is busy, go to daddy. Something along these lines. But this awakening that happens in a child asking about the meaning and purpose of their existence, even if they don't have, the most eloquent words to describe it, it is a natural, almost instinctive desire that exists in the human that is now showing itself in a child. And what happens is that because our society is not well equipped with the tools to answer this question, we learn to repress it. Even to the point that we feel it's not a very legitimate question to ask. We grow up, we see that we have to do all kinds of things in life, we go to school, we study, we need to get grades, especially in the Western world, right? And that question is something that maybe crops up here and there, but we put it to sleep. We put it to sleep because we think about it as something not very practical. If you engage in that question in a serious manner, then something is a little off with you. That's kind of the social convention or the social atmosphere that we live in. But the good news is that this is what the authentic wisdom of Kabbalah is all about. In fact, there's nothing else that the wisdom of Kabbalah truly engages in and solves. It is the wisdom that discusses how to unlock that desire, that asks about the meaning and purpose in life, how to develop it, focus on it, learn what it is, and see how it unfolds into a sort of a roadmap that takes you on a spiritual journey where you can actually fulfill that desire. In other words, answer those existential questions, reconnect with the source of life from which these questions arise. To conclude, if you're a human being, you probably did have a spiritual awakening even as a child or at some other point in life. If you felt that desire for the meaning of life, the purpose of life, then you've had a spiritual awakening. See you next time.